Hello and welcome to the podcast of the Cornwall Federation of WIs. We are Avron and Tracy, and today we are joined by members of the CFWI archive team. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Oh, hello, I'm Mary Venn. I first started helping Judith Williams with the archives. She was the Federation archivist at the time. We are now the archive team, and each of us does different roles. Judith has started sorting stuff from closed WIs ready to go to Crescent Kerno. I helped Judith sorting, and she became unwell and couldn't continue. That's when Alison joined the team.
So I'm Alison. I joined the team about 2 years after Mary had started, and I started cataloguing and looking at everything that was in all the cupboards down there and sorting it all out.
So I'm Tracy Dumper, and I'm from St Agnes WI, and I've barely been in the WI for 5 minutes when I wandered into Chinaworth to ask a question about archives, only to find Alison and Mary were there, and I suddenly became part of the archive team. Just, that simple question. But I got involved in the St Agnes archives because I'm the assistant curator at a local museum. So that's my area of interest, is more about the cataloguing of items, allocating reference numbers, recording those reference numbers, making sure we know where everything is, and sort of being able to keep track of things. So more about the physical from that side, but also digital archives. So that's my areas that I'm looking at.
Well, I'm sure that's a very valuable addition to the team. But I think you've also got a member, Elizabeth, on your team as well.
Yes, we've also got Elizabeth, and she'll come and help wherever's needed whenever we're there. And she's been particularly helpful. Was a Penrith Jubilee banner book, and she's been taking it around to all the people in her area to get it all named.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
yeah,
we'll have that back in a few weeks.
Yeah, I bet you had some really interesting items already stored at China when you all took over.
It was unbelievable, some of the stuff that we found. We actually found the canning equipment for jam from the Second World War vintage. That, there was a lot of jam made then, and the canning equipment is still there, might still be able to be used. A lace example book, some details dating back to the 1700s. That we've no idea why we've got it. There was a case of tooled leatherwork, and I even found the first minute of the CFW board meeting in 1919.
My gosh, that's absolutely amazing, isn't it, Avril?
That is absolutely. What other types of items have you found during your work?
We found lots and lots of minutes books and record books, which have all been catalogued and sent to Crescent Kerno. We've got cutlery, crockery, and then on to Mary found lots of banners.
Yeah, when I first saw the banners, they were all in plastic bags. I removed the plastic and they are now all wrapped in cotton cloths, rolled and labelled. This is an ongoing project to facilitate better storage facilities for the textiles. We also have other lovely textile items. I went to the National Needlework Archives in Newbury, whom I had previously contacted. They were very helpful about how to best store textiles in the long term. I have given them a copy of all the banners I have photographed to date. They keep records of all WI textiles everywhere on file and welcome ongoing updates. If you know where a banner and any other textiles are kept, we would like to know what and where it is so that we can have an up-to-date record.
Well, I think we're also trying to push the archives forward. So, it'd be great when we can maybe get a grant so that you can get some better storage facilities as well. I think that's really good. I noticed when I was at the Audition Speakers Day on Friday that there's a display in the corner. What sort of things normally goes in there?
Oh, we were asked to put a display on specifically for that event, which we can do any time. But it's anything that we look at and think people might find that interesting. Like, we've got quite a good collection of old badges. We've got cups. We've got commemorative chinaware, all sorts of things. We've got books. We've got old county newses, which Tracy is particularly looking at.
Yeah, the last display we had in there was actually County News's sort of back through the ages, because, well, one of the first jobs I was given when I arrived, and I don't know if it was a bit of a poison chalice, was actually going through all of the old County Newses back from when there were newsletters in the 1940s, through to sort of the nice glosses that we get today. But they all needed to be scanned to be sent to Crescent Kerno. So I spent hours by the scanner doing that. But I couldn't resist reading them, so it took a lot longer than it should.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, really, that people couldn't read them in the display cabinet. But some of the stories that I was picking up from there were brilliant. And one that I keep sharing with people was that back in 1953, the annual council meeting for Cornwall had to be cancelled at the last minute because when the people went down to get organised and set up, they actually found that there was a travelling circus in Truro, and City Hall had agreed to let the circus use the backstage area for storage. And one of the things they were storing back there were 5 caged lions. And the ladies of the WI decided it perhaps wasn't appropriate to be having their annual council meeting with lions just behind the stage. And the circus said they couldn't move them, so we had to sort of cancel that year. They did look around for other locations, but it was such short notice. But Lions Stopped Play was one of my favourites.
Tracy, that is a brilliant. You could send it to me, and I'll put that on social media, because that goes in with us publicising the podcast. These little snippets are so interesting.
Yeah.
I think that would be great if we could even start something like that with.
That means I'd have to read them all.
just the ones you can remember. That's all.
Well, so there was another one then that sort of sticks with me, and it kind of sticks with me because we always say communication's poor. Sort of there's all sorts of issues with the world. This didn't happen years ago. But there was also one just after the war where the WI nationally agreed with, I don't know, the War Office, whoever it was, that all of the gas masks, the baby gas masks that were given out during the war, needed to be collected back in, and the WIs would be the places that would collect them back in. And people would be told to go to their local WI and drop off this gas mask, this baby gas mask. But it was then announced in the national press that was what would happen before National Federation had managed to tell all of the WIs. So there was sort of like great consternation because people were turning up with gas masks for babies to their local WI who had no idea what was going on. So we think that these are modern problems, but it's been a long time, and it's reading things like that slowed me down with the scanning. So I had to stop looking at it too closely.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I know you've had lots of other displays around and about. Some of them I've seen, but I don't know if someone wants to tell me where else you've had, where you've been putting on displays, at what events.
Well, we put on a display at Royal Cornwall, Stydians, and downstairs at County we put on a big display for I can't remember what it was, the commemorative 120th birthday.
That was wonderful.
That was a display that everybody loved. What we did, we put the old banners from closed WIs all around the room, and then we got lots of things out from the cupboards and put them on the tables, and people were fascinated.
Yeah.
And we're going to do Royal Cornwall again this year, and Stydians, and as I've said before, we're happy to put a display on for any if there's a load of people going into county for a particular reason, we'll put a display on.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yes.
So what plans do you have for the future? I think there has been some talk about the photos, hasn't there, Tracy?
So that's maybe I shouldn't have been so good at the scanning, because so the next big thing is more scanning. But no, we're looking at sort of having a digital record of photographs. So sort of modern times, we're producing a huge number of photographs all the time. So we want to be able to capture those in a way that is searchable, and it just doesn't become a bottomless pit of photographs that nobody ever looks at again. But once we've actually got something up and running to sort of capture new photographs, we're going to start a programme of going back over old photographs. So old digital photographs, but then scanning old physical photographs. Again, so that we can catalogue them in a way that makes them usable rather than just being in a box. That does have the challenge of there are a lot of photographs around the county that we have no idea who is in those photographs, what it's a photograph of. So there's going to be a massive piece of work that we will actually be asking sort of other WIs to get involved in a small way. If every WI looks at their own photo archive, it makes it a much easier task.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then linked to that, we're talking, and this is we in the archive team, of a workshop. We said autumn, but it's now moved to probably November, about availability. But a workshop at Chinaworth, looking at what does archive mean in a WI context. So what sorts of things are we expecting people to keep? How are we hoping that people will keep them? As Mary was saying about how do you keep materials, then Mary will be able to sort of give a bit more detail and a bit more support about that. All the things that Alison's talked about where do you when do you send something to President Colonel, sort of getting all of those sorts of details together, but also advice on how to sort of properly record it so that you know where it is and that it doesn't end up in Gladys's attic when she was president and never be seen again. Because that's a big risk that we lose lots of information because it's kept in somebody's house. And for me, the archiving is as much about knowing where it is as what it is, so that we don't lose it, because that's a massive risk. So we want to sort of make sure that people are actually keeping that good record.
And our history is so important, isn't it, really, of the WI? I think it's needs to be maintained for it to continue, basically, so that we know what went on in the past, because it has played such a big part in people's lives. Particularly in the wartime, I think, it played a lot of a big part.
Yeah. So what type of items do you want WIs to send to you?
It's not so much as what we want them to send to us as what we don't want them to send to us. Unfortunately, space is limited at Chinaworth, and we cannot store items for open WIs. So we mainly store items for the WIs that have closed. But with this workshop and everything, if various WIs do not have space, we can advise them how to send it to Crescent Kerno. It could be they've got a local museum or library that would take it rather than Crescent Kerno. So, like Penzance has got a place called Morab Library where we've put some stuff down there, and then it's accessible to everybody.
Yeah, so and St Agnes Museum has got artefacts from Blackwater WI and it closed because a family member found it, didn't know what to do with it, but thought I shouldn't throw it away. So they just took it to the local museum. So at least we know where it is and it's accessible if anybody wants to see it. So
the Scard is the same. I know the Scard Museum has got WI items. So I do have a catalogue of where various items are in Cornwall, but unfortunately the paperwork I had just says on some of the things it's kept in a private house.
Right.
We haven't got the address.
So you need to know which private house.
Yes. And it's possible that those open WIs do not know where it is.
And all that stuff needs to be sent to CFWI and to the National Needlework Archive in Newbury, because they keep an ongoing record of everything.
Because there was a survey that you sent out to WIs, perhaps was it about 12 months ago, asking for information. What type of response did you get back from
We only had a 30% response. So, what came back was really good, because it didn't say just it's kept in the President's house, it gave us the President's address and things like this. So we did have 70% of the WIs in Cornwall didn't respond.
Right. And that was what drove me to come to China to ask the question. Yes. Then maybe other people have said, "Oh, I'm not getting involved in it. I end up with a job to do." But no, that's the sort of thing that so it's driving this whole thing about there's still those huge number of WIs that we don't know what's happening, and we want to be able to support those WIs. If they're not answering because they don't know what to do, then this is the perfect opportunity to put their hand up and say, actually, we want a little bit of support.
Yes.
I suppose at Cress and Kerno, it takes paper, the paperwork and materials as well, does it?
No, it will not take the materials. It just takes the paperwork. It will not take the crockery, the cutlery, and that type of thing. It is just the paper storage.
And what about the banners or anything like that?
That would be much better at. Sorry, Avril. That'd be much better than the crockery and things at like your local museum, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I just wondered what they would take, because we've got stuff at my WI, but we're lucky that we have our own building, so it's not stored in somebody's attic or anything. It is stored at there. But when we had a big clear out a couple of years ago, we found some very interesting scrapbooks and things like that.
Went back to we'll take them.
To the the 50s, I think it was made, the scrapbook, and it was amazing. So, and also, I don't, it's storing it properly so it doesn't get damaged, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yes. And Cress and Kerno have got 18 miles of storage shelves.
Right.
And it's a bomb-proof shelter.
It's amazing down there. Yeah.
It's been so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think, thank you ever so much for your time today. And also for all the time you're putting in, because like Avril said, it's so important that we're keeping all of these artefacts about our history in the WI. And, you're making sure that everybody's being stored safely for both us as present members and members of the future.
And not only that, we've had a few people contact us that their mothers and grandmothers were in WI. Do we have anything that might mention them? So we've been able to look and find.
That's really that's lovely. Thank you all. It's been really interesting, and probably see you soon in any case. Have a lovely day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.